Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
If I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Can someone make a video attacking me that like put some effort into it?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was in the middle of drinking a soda. Thought that opening clip was a bit longer. How are you guys doing? Yes, I'm back on the Matt Walsh train, but it's a little bit different this time. But before we get into it, let me just quickly do the YouTuber stuff. If you are not already a subscriber to this channel, I would truly appreciate it. Just hit that subscribe button. Even if you're a hate watcher, why not? You can also follow me on Twitter. I am Karen Ann Harlos, and I would appreciate that as well. And last but not least, I really love my patrons. I mean, I love all of you, but I really love my patrons at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. We are not going to do a huge all of that type of intro because I really do want to get right into this video. Now, you guys know I have a soft spot in my cold, dark, libertarian heart for Matt Walsh. In other words, I like responding to him a lot because I think most of his takes are really, really bad. But I also have a reputation for not letting people who I would normally agree with, that is those who oppose Matt Walsh, slide if I think they did not so great of a response. For instance, I just did that video critiquing Mason Meninga, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, where he was critiquing Christian nationalism. For some reason, that word just makes my lisp go crazy. And y'all know, I ain't a fan of Christian nationalism, but I want good responses. And hello, Samuel and JJ. So I was intrigued when I was perusing through Matt Walsh's channel, as I do, where I saw some videos that were specifically going after libertarians rather than just being his authoritarian self. And of course, a libertarian would want to respond. These were specifically to libertarians. I had already done a response to one of them. This is the second of the two. And I believe the title of the video was A Battle of the Libs. And he does that a lot, even with, that's not the only video he has with that title, because he does it even with like actual like progressives. But this was libertarians. I will put the link in the low bar because that's going to become relevant later. But you can look for it. It's A Battle of the Libs. And I think it says Libertarians versus Jamie or something like that. We're not dealing with the Jamie part of the video. Jamie is an actual progressive, if I remember correctly, was talking on trans issues. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with the first part of the video in which, and let me find, I do have notes. Okay, so this is what I wrote. This comes from a Matt Walsh response video. So it's Matt Walsh responding to their response to one of his videos. It is response inception. So I wrote, we now will need a response video to my response video, to Matt's response video, to their response video to Matt. That's definitely what we need. And I think I have a file for this that would go perfectly. Hold on one second. Yeah, here we go.
And they told two friends, and so on, and so on, and so on.
So that's definitely what we need. And then we'll need a response to the response video, to my response video of Matt's response video, to their response video to Matt. Sound like fun? I think it sounds like fun. So the libertarians, and not big L, here the small L, because I'm pretty sure maybe they are big L. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I think they're small L libertarians. Their names are Brad Palumbo, and I've retweeted Brad multiple times, though it doesn't seem like his account's allowing that anymore or allowing you to tag him. I don't know if he's had a stalker or something like that, but I've retweeted him before. I know he writes for like Fee, so is somewhat well known. His co-host is Hannah Cox. I don't remember ever having any interactions with Hannah Cox, but I have a lot of interactions on Twitter. I could have had an interaction with her. I don't know. All I know is in doing research for this video, I went to look at her Twitter profile and I'm blocked. I don't even remember this chick. But okay, you go, queen. I'm not anyone to ever criticize anyone else for blocking anyone. I am the queen of the block. It's like, okay, I could be having a bad day and I'm like, block. So no shade. I just thought it was funny because I'm usually the one doing the blocking. So apparently she didn't irritate me enough to block her, but I apparently irritated her. Or it was just through word of mouth. She might have preemptively blocked me. All I know is that I'm blocked by her, which, you know, it's kind of okay because I'm going to be honest with you. Why not? I might as well be a catty little, it's not 10 minutes in yet, so I might as well be a little bit catty in the beginning of this because I have to say, when I watched the video, she kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So it's probably better we're both mutually blocked at this point, but that could just be, again, the female, you know, I know we all get catty. I have a sound effect for that, don't I? Yeah, right here.
You catty bitches.
Right, exactly. We're probably just being catty bitches. And I'm probably going to get demonetized because that wasn't 10 minutes in. So that's the setup. I, again, will criticize anybody, libertarian or not. I did ask my friends a bit about the show. Their show is called Based Politics, by the way, if you want to go check it out. If you want to watch some other libertarian show. I asked my friends about the show because this is the first and only episode I've seen of it so far, and it seems pretty mixed. Some people saying they generally have good takes, and another friend of mine saying that they're so blue-pilled that they embarrass reason. I don't know what the truth is. I'll have to watch some more videos. So we'll see. You can go check them out. And let's play the first Matt Walsh video responding to their video, responding to his video. Got it? Got it. Good. Let's go.
Instead of reviewing just the smug, self-satisfied liberals who hate me, I thought we should see a pair of smug, self-satisfied libertarians who hate me. This is Brad and Hannah, as they're known to the 5 people who follow them and watch them. They had a lot to say, so let's take a look.
Okay. Well, okay, Matt is smug and self-satisfied, so let's say that right there. Matt, now, this video is a year old, by the way, so I am very late to the party. Very late. I don't know what their channel looked like when he was responding it. But Matt, you're being a jerk, because at least today they have 83,000 subscribers. Now that's nowhere near as huge as your channel, but that's a respectable channel size for a libertarian channel. I'm certainly jealous, me with my 6,000 subscribers, which I'm grateful for every single last one of you, but that isn't 5 people. Like, was that really necessary, Matt? And I don't know, maybe their channel just started back then, or maybe you're just a smug, self-satisfied theocrat who thinks that no one could possibly be watching, you know, to any extent, this type of content. But yeah, that was completely unworthy of you, Matt. You didn't need to say they have 5 subscribers. I wish I had the subscribers that Brad and Hannah have. Okay, let me see here. But oh, I do have to say though, even though I am critiquing Matt right here because I just can't help it, I'm not going to be doing so much later. And damn you, Brad and Hannah, for making me defend Matt Walsh. But anyway, let's go to the next portion, which will be a little bit longer because this is kind of the meat of it. And you know I'm serious, baby doll, when I got notes. Because you know I normally wing it. If I write notes, woo! Here we go.
Now, on the complete opposite end of this spectrum are arranged marriages. Instead of a boundless, never-ending buffet of options, a young person in a culture that practices arranged marriages will be assigned just one, and they don't even make the choice. Their families just pair them up and say, here you go. There's far less freedom and far less autonomy in a system of that sort, but it is without a doubt superior to our system. We would be happier. Every person in the dating scene right now would be happier if they were just matched up with someone against their will.
Against their will? That's a new dating app, right? Be matched with somebody against your will. Here you go. You're assigned this person. Go make babies. What the heck is wrong with
I don't know.
them?
How is it conservative to be like, yeah, it would have a lot less freedom and individual rights, but it'd be better. That's not what conservatism in America has ever been about.
How bad is your marriage is what I want to know. That you think people should just be like, assign people like a lottery system, like here you go, and that would be just as good as whatever you found.
It's a little rapey, to be honest. The vibes of like, yeah, women should be assigned to me as my wife. No, they should not, sir.
Mm-hmm.
They should not.
This seems like it comes from a very incel kind of mindset of like, I can't get women on my own. They never pick me, and so they should just assign me. I know, but he speaks for that crowd.
I guess.
Okay. Well, that was awful. And let's be clear, I'm not in favor of arranged marriages. Now, if all you saw was that clip, you might think some of the critique was fair. But after I watched this, I'm like, you know what? I better go back and watch both original videos. So I found Matt's original video, and there's a lot of responses out there on the internet to that video. He really got a bunch of people upset. And I watched Based Politics' video to make sure Matt didn't chop it up in a deceptive way. They watched Matt's whole video. So they chopped out portions of it like I do, like that's fine. Now, I do realize in that clip, Matt said, people should be forced against their will to get married. Matt says over the top stuff like that, and you have to watch all of his content on that in context, because he says outrageous things, like anime is satanic. He knows nothing about it, but he knows it's satanic. He was obviously joking. he clarifies it in his video that he wasn't talking about implementing some kind of law, which is truly what a libertarian thinks is against your will, to force arranged marriages. What the context was is that young people today are miserable. I'm not saying I agree with everything, but I don't think he's entirely wrong. And our dating system is messed up, and everyone's just looking at these pictures on an app and making a snap judgment just based upon appearances, and their judgment's not fully formed, and they're just swiping from this endless menu of options. When before all of this technology, maybe your dating pool would be the eligible single people in your neighborhood. And he doesn't think the way we shop the World Wide Web for a potential mate is the best way. And he actually thinks that your parents probably are wiser than you are and who raised you and know you, think that they would be better matchmaking you with somebody. Now, I'm not saying I agree with what he's saying, but what he's saying isn't terribly outrageous. As a libertarian, I wouldn't agree with that. But if you're dealing with an adult offspring who agrees to this, who's been raised this way, and I'm not talking about in an abusive way in, some culture where the women are kept, covered from head to foot. Because even today in America, there are communities that practice matchmaking practices where the parents set it up. Now, of course, they could walk away, but they'd get the censure of their community. But isn't that what we libertarians want? Voluntary communities that set up their own social expectations and enforce them in ways other than the state? That is actually what Matt was advocating for. And while I might not want that, and it's not what I would think is necessarily best, it's not an unlibertarian solution. And it's certainly not an unconservative solution where they're like, how is that conservative in America? There are plenty of conservative communities in America that still practice forms of arranged marriage. It's not like you're viewing in the Middle East. Again, the Orthodox Jewish community does it. There are certain ethnic communities that do that, and very fundamentalist Christian communities do that. It is not that unheard of. And I don't have the study in front of me, and maybe when I read it, I misunderstood it, or I'm talking out my butt. But what I last recall is, as counterintuitive as it may seem, and maybe it's the cultural pressures from the community, but the arranged marriages tended to last. And again, it could be because of other social pressures. But there are plenty of people who are in marriages that their parents set up that have lasted 40, 50 years, and they were happy. And as mentioned in chat, marriages used to be political, where people would seal peace deals and dynasties by wedding their offspring. Again, I'm not saying that's ideal, but I am saying if it's voluntarily practiced, what's the libertarian problem with it? Just you don't like Matt Walsh? I think he diagnosed a real problem. Now, is that the solution? By the end of his video, he makes it clear that really what he would advocate for is something that's just very, very familiar to me from my Christian days. Well, I'm still a Christian. I meant my fundamentalist Christian days. Courtship, the courtship model. That's the purity culture, Joshua Harris, I kissed dating goodbye culture. I don't necessarily agree with that either. But in that small clip they extracted out, they made it seem like he was literally advocating physical force and forcing people to get married against their will, which he was being sarcastic when he said that. And she went on then to completely misrepresent even that little clip, because she goes, oh, so men are assigned women in a lottery system? Nowhere in a million years did he even apply that. He was talking about parents making decisions for their newly adult children. That's what he was talking about. Where she came up with this complete straw man of a lottery system. And then she goes on to attack his marriage. How unhappy is he in his marriage? Where in the world would you get that from? Why do you got to go personal like that? That was just completely uncalled for. And then you go, well, he's just appealing to the incels because they can't get a woman. So they got to have some woman forced to marry them. Well, that's not what arranged marriages are all about. And God damn you for making me defend Matt on arranged marriages, but this critique was just not fair. It wasn't fair in the slightest. Okay, let's go on to the next clip.
They are, of course, being wildly dishonest about my argument. I never said that arranged marriages are ideal. I also never said that women should be assigned to me to be married. I also never mentioned that women should be the only ones subjected to it. I said that arranged marriages are better than our current approach to dating, and that's simply because our current approach couldn't possibly be any worse.
And I think Matt represented his own position fairly. I watched his whole video on it. It was part of a video. And that is basically what he had argued. That it's better than what we have now, and what we have now is horrible. So he also goes on, and I wish I clipped this out, because I think he caught a little sense of the social justice a little bit in Brad and Hannah, and I don't know if they are that. People see my hair and assume I am, and I'm not. But he does raise the point that, again, this is very common in a lot of cultures. And were they saying some cultures were horrible? Now, I don't know whether that would be something they would be sensitive to. But it was an interesting point that Matt brought up. And it's also funny, God, the poor women. Will someone think of the ladies? Because again, he wasn't just talking about the women. The men would also get their wife picked out for them by their parents. And when Brad said, that sounds a little rapey, in context, you can tell he was speaking of just the woman. Does he also think it was rapey to the man? I'd be really curious to know that. I don't need you, Brad or Hannah, to be the great savior of women. A newly adult woman who decides that she trusts the wisdom of her parents has every right to do that in a libertarian scenario. And who are you to say better? So, next one.
One time my dad tried to set me up with somebody and I was aghast at who he thought I would like. I was actually insulted. I was like, Dad, you know I'm cute, right? Like, you know, like I don't have a problem pulling men, right? Like, no, absolutely
But at least that was
not.
a suggestion. It wasn't a...
It was just what he would like me to be with, which was like this super Christian guy who was in his church and who like was slightly balding, but like he thought it was a good option for me. So he was like a really good guy. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to need a really good guy who's not balding. Like, and also who doesn't live in Anderson, South Carolina, because I'm for sure as hell not. And like, you know, those kinds of things. So all I'm saying is I love my parents dearly, but I would never want them to pick my mate. They would have no clue how to begin to pick who I would actually want. So,
It's just creepy. And it's really crazy, and I just can't relate to that one at all.
Can someone make a video attacking me that like put some effort into it? I'm looking for a good challenge here. This is just so your dad set you up with someone who you admit is a really good guy, but he's losing his hair, so you had no interest in him. And you say that you're too attractive to be wasting your time with men who have the audacity to possess physical flaws. Now, look, I wouldn't usually say what I'm about to say, but speaking to the girl now. You earlier felt comfortable commenting on my marriage, inaccurately, of course, so you've opened yourself up to some harsh truths. And here it is, Cupcake. You may be slightly overestimating yourself. You seem to have erroneously given yourself a couple of extra points on the 1 to 10 physical attractiveness scale. Just a tip.
Okay, I normally wouldn't include that kind of mean comment, but they went mean on Matt first by basically saying that he's just an incel, magnet, and he must be terribly unhappy in his marriage. So, tit for tat. But I also think it exposed something here. Because Brad kind of backs up in a portion that wasn't part of Matt's clip, in which he said, well, he's got a point that when you're, going through these dating apps and you're just doing these quick judgments on physical appearance, there might be somebody who, isn't the hottie, the hottest of the hot that you might go past, but might actually be the best person for you. And it is kind of shallow. And then Hannah proceeds to go and show exactly how shallow it is. Yeah, this was a great guy, but he was balding. I'm cute, right? I just can't even imagine saying that on a video. Okay, I think that guy might have dodged a bullet. I don't know what to say. You realize that, the guy you marry today, who might be, Mr. GQ, could, get some horribly disfiguring disease or get in an accident or, tragedy of tragedies, go balding in a few years because, that's a thing with men. The fact that someone's balding, if they're a great guy, you'd be lucky to have them. Any woman would be. Like, don't judge so superficially. So that was, Matt's comment was mean. And I do think she's a cutie pie. But, yeah, that was super, super shallow. And, she did attack his marriage. But one thing I want to say, Matt, you can't be too upset about her attacking your marriage, because from an entirely different video where you were responding to somebody, you said this.
So that video was, this video I think is a couple years old now. So they're probably already divorced. But if they're not, they will be soon.
So you felt pretty, confident making flippant comments about other people's marriage. So I'm not crying any crocodile tears for you, but I am just critiquing, the libertarian response. And I'm sure I said some catty little comments to Matt before in the past too. So this just reminds me that's probably not the best way to respond to anyone. So there's plenty to respond to Matt, but his super socially conservative views on the role of parents in guiding their offspring towards good matches, unless he was advocating for some kind of laws, I just don't see why this is a libertarian issue. And in fact, I think in isolation, we all know that Matt is an authoritarian theocrat, but in isolation, that's a perfectly libertarian solution. So that is pretty much it. I'm gonna look at comments here for a second. Yes, Ski 2. This was not just a response to a response. I'm going to read again what this is. This is a response to Matt's response to their response to a video by Matt. Response inception. The universe is imploding. Okay, that is it for this evening. And I'm going to check out more of their content because I may really enjoy it. I didn't particularly like this video, but I've made some duds as well that'll probably come back to haunt me in a couple years. So stuff happens. Glad there are more libertarians out there. And on that note, I hope you all have an awesome night. Mi guapas de libertad.
given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because they want to